Electrocast.
Wesley, where have you been? I have really missed you.
Who was this love of yours?
Oh, my sweet Wesley. A farm boy. Poor and perfect.
Why did you come here, Wesley?
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
We're gonna Sizzler. It's Wesley month.
Strong stuff, all right. It'll take a month.
A month?
Wesley month.
Or whatever movies with Wesley and Iris.
Studi, Snipes, Ichishta. It's Wesley month at Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris, and I'm here with my older brother.
The latter Wesley.
We're talking a movie from 1992, White Men Can't Jump.
Oh yeah, my favorite basketball movie.
And it is very much a basketball movie. Is it weird that I watched White Men Can't Jump and was like, Woody Harrelson's pretty good at basketball?
Yeah, he was. So it's not weird at all. I mean, it is weird to think, given that how he was set up as the goofy white dude. Kelly Ray, who had never seen it, was like, he looks like a dork. So selling his goofy persona worked.
But why am I not all like, Wesley Snipes is good at basketball?
Because he really wasn't.
He wasn't. He was doing all those behind the back passes and dribbling between his legs and stuff.
Oh yeah, it was estimated that by the time they had their training down, because they were playing basketball 6 days a week in preparation and all day every day for filming, that they got to a place where they could have headed a Division II or something basketball team. Like, they were both good. It required a lot of practice. Woody Harrelson was boasting about his basketball skills, and then he played a one-on-one at the invitation of the basketball player who was hired to coach them to learn basketball, and he said it was the most humiliating 15 minutes of his life.
Why? Because the pro just smoked him?
Yeah, you just can't. I mean, like, even the street ball or whatever. There's a reason street ballers are in little $5,000 tournaments or whatever and aren't being farmed for the NBA, you know?
Because it's just a different kind of ball?
Different kind of ball. It's, no showboating and that kind of stuff. I think it's more precision. And also, these two guys, as much as I love them, were a little bit hampered by the fact that both of them are around 5'9".
Yeah, some of the supporting players were towering over them.
Yeah, a handful of which were actual former NBA stars or future NBA stars.
No kidding.
The guy.
How authentic.
The guy that goes for the gun. I'm going to get my other gun. Shoot everybody here. That guy was a former NBA player.
He's like, man, that's you under that mask. What do you want?
Right?
He's like not even scared.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the liquor store owner.
Yep.
If you're like a liquor store owner in South Central, you're like, you're hard as nails.
I guess so.
So White Men Can't Jump. I was all delaying the beginning of this episode because I was looking for the perfect insult with which to introduce you. And I just couldn't find it. What's the best insult in White Men Can't Jump?
Apparently, there were thousands of them. They were trying to riff, and Ron Shelton, writer-director, was like, nah, come on, let's bring it. Let's do it right. So everyone went home and came back with, like, computer printouts, and it was all Yo Mama jokes, and they were all, like, rated NC-17. And they were already flirting with the MRFers in this movie with a higher rating than they needed to have. So these are actually the toned down Yo Mama jokes.
Yeah, they're flowing for sure. And I really felt like whether it was the writing or the performances or both, this was so naturalistic. Like, I definitely did not feel I was watching a movie when they were on the court and when they were jiving. Can I say jiving?
I don't know.
But then there were these really canned moments that felt forced, only in comparison to the naturalistic flow on the court.
Yeah, so the charisma is flowing. And by the way, speaking of flowing, my favorite joke in this movie is actually the old standby, which is Your Mama's so fat she fell over and broke her leg and gravy poured out. That's pretty good. I've been using that since I was a toddler. But did you feel that it was at all restrained? Because of two things. The actress who played Wesley Snipes' wife came down on them because everyone and their brother was using the N-word all the time. And she kind of shamed them and encouraged them to rise above that word, to be better artists and representatives of their culture, and to not use it. So it only has one utterance, and it is when Wesley Snipes talks about it in context of don't pay any attention to this kind of N-word stuff or whatever, in trying to get Woody Harrelson to, kind of feel integrated. So there's some fat shaming, and there's definitely some shaming of anybody whose proclivity might be to F another person's mother, because the Emmer Effers were flying and the fat jokes were present, but that's really it.
This is like a 90s. What year was My Cousin Vinny?
Around the same time, around 93.
And it feels like it, especially with regards to the treatment of women. Billy tells Gloria to shut up at least 3 times to her face, totally demeaning her. He so deserved to be walked out on at the end.
I was over at Kelly Ray's mom's house, and I told her to shut up. And there was a silence that was just long enough that I registered it. And I felt like one of us qualified it with, we say that's how we love. Like we say shut up to each other all the time. Because I tell her to shut the hell up all the time.
Kelly Ray?
Yeah, but it's in like a vernacular. It's like between us or whatever. I don't know.
No, is it like a shut up?
Right. In front of other people, maybe it's different, but it just passed me by. So that one, curiously, she didn't say anything about Billy's treatment of Gloria. For some reason, when after all the stuff about you're listening to Jimmy, but you're white, so you can't hear Jimmy. And then he said, why is this Negro singing country music? She took real issue with that one. And I was like, that one, like 30 years ago? Because it was a commentary on him being told that he couldn't listen to black music that he loved. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a justification. It was just curious, the things that we pick up on 30 years later.
So Billy calls Sidney a Negro?
Billy called whoever was singing country a Negro who was a black person, saying that's no more acceptable, I guess, than saying that I can't listen to Jimi Hendrix. All I know is Beyonce just dropped a country album. So this thing of Elvis stealing black music and appropriating a black cultural sound, and Beyonce, is she allowed to sing country? Blah, blah, blah. It's a big hot topic, and she really brushed up against that particular line in this movie. So look, we've spent a long time now talking about race in this movie, and it's definitely a thing. However, is it a thing? Is it a thing? Because the whole point is that race doesn't matter if you're good at ball or whatever. They're actually using what Billy called reverse racism in their favor, which is that everyone thinks that this goofy white dude can't ball. So if you pick Sydney's partner and you pick that doofy dude, you're sure to win, and you're not.
I mean, the movie is called White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, but also written and directed by a white dude.
True, and I was thinking about if that would fly. Ron Shelton, writer-director, by the way, a Westmont alum. And I did connect with him through like another business alum or something like that.
Didn't you ask him for a letter of rec or something?
No, I just wanted to see if he would help me break into the entertainment industry as one Westmont alum to another. Anyway, I was a PA on Hollywood Homicide. Come on.
Man, the one that brought him down. Honestly,
well, it's no White Man Can't Jump.
It's true. And Hollywood Homicide is really his last notable feature film credit. A notorious Harrison Ford, Josh Hartnett bomb.
Yeah.
And really, he never kind of recovered. But he was around for sure and maybe it started too with Bad Boys 2. But I liked Tin Cup a lot.
Yeah, didn't he also do Bull Durham?
He did, but Tin Cup is, I don't really know much about baseball movies, Moneyball being my favorite baseball movie, but Tin Cup is my favorite golf movie.
I was about to say, yeah, because you know so much about golf, right?
Doesn't matter. That's got your boy Kevin Hotner in it.
So hot. So you're saying that Ron Shelton has directed at least 2 of your favorite sports movies?
Sure, but that's not saying a lot. They're kind of sports adjacent movies. So what I was saying about the racism is that it seems like, because they both, Wesley Snipes went on record and said that he forged a brotherhood, like a lifelong friendship with Woody Harrelson as a result of this movie. And then Wesley Snipes notable for being in Spike Lee's Jungle Fever, which was definitely a racial integration movie as a theme. I think this one really it didn't make a commentary on race so much as it took the race card and just threw it out the window and just ignored it and utilized it for its purposes, but it wasn't a political examination of race. And therefore probably wasn't a message movie, although maybe people look back on it that way.
This movie doesn't explore race in the sense that both of these characters are very developed and universally human. They're dealing with universal issues of family and wanting to provide for family and wanting to make relationships work. And maybe I'm just hanging on to or clinging to the love stories, but they're both hustlers. And both of them have some wisdom, especially Wesley Snipes' character, to share about relationships and how to navigate women.
Ron Shelton doesn't see color, apparently, because Gloria was written for a white lady in his head. It just happened to be that that's the character that he developed to be Woody Harrelson's Billy's partner. And then Rosie Perez came in and read, and he was like, that's it. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So Billy got the lady that all of Sydney's friends said was fine.
Rosie Perez banging in this movie.
Yeah?
Yeah. Although I'm so fascinated by her accent.
It's Puerto Rican.
And also, does she have a speech impediment?
No, that's just Rosie Perez. How dare you?
I mean it as a compliment. It is a mesmerizing, hypnotic voice.
Look, you gotta have someone like Rosie Perez. She can't be meek and mild to keep up with Sydney's and Billy's trash talking on the court. This movie is nothing if not charismatic in its performances.
I definitely think of Woody Harrelson as being an actor of gravitas, but I don't think him as being charismatic.
Really? Gravitas, huh? Like Zombieland? Like what's the serious Woody Harrelson movie?
No Country for Old Men?
Yeah, even then he played the doofiest dude in No Country for sure. I mean, Carson Wells, he had a little bit of premonition and was the seemingly white hat counterpart to Anton Chigurh, but he didn't, spoiler, he didn't last all that long. It was all talk, which is kind of what this movie is, except in the end he dunks it. Spoiler.
No Country for Old Men, our discussion for which is available at orwhatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts. Yeah, so this whole movie is setting up the dunk. This whole movie is setting up the 2-on-2 with so-and-so and Duck.
Yeah, the King and Duck Johnson.
So when you see him going for the, I don't know what you call that, a high pass, rim pass or something.
Yeah.
You're
assist.
like, here it comes.
Yeah.
But it's the perfect dunk assist. And because the 2-on-2 with the King and Duck is so well set up, I'm kind of with Woody Harrelson. I'm kind of with Billy when he's pleading his case to Gloria. He's like, I'm going to guarantee this. I never guarantee a victory. I'm going to guarantee a victory. And I'm like, it's the King and Duck. Like, he has to do this. Like, Gloria, just one more time. And I think Gloria, the fact that he knows that Gloria is gone and that presumably Gloria is gone is what makes White Men Can't Jump kind of a serious movie.
Yeah, I was going to ask that very question because undoubtedly, if you go to Blockbuster of old, circa 1992 or 1993, when White Men Can't Jump hit, the video stores, this would have been in the comedy section, right? So does Gloria, I mean, I guess sports, movies maybe, but does Gloria leaving Billy legitimize this movie to make it more real, make it more legitimately dramatic and not just a straightforward comedy?
The short answer is yes, but then I'm wondering why. Because you can take her seriously, because even though she's ridiculous. She puts up with way too much shit, in my humble opinion. She's got this pipe dream about Jeopardy, which without the behind the scenes back channeling would have never happened. Like, you can't take her seriously for 90% of this movie, but then she turns out to be quite a serious person who's got a plan, who's got a vision for her future, and can't realistically see Billy growing up enough to be a part of that plan.
Does she though? It's a little bit hard
have a plan?
because, look, I get it that the Gloria is definitely the heart of this film. She's the stakes. Or did she just put up with enough where she can be assured that she is justified in her decision to leave at the point that he takes her money and still is reckless with it? Prior to that, however, she came up with a lot of stuff. Like whenever something happens and what seems to be an illogical argument instigated by a female happens on screen, I'll turn to Kelly Ray and be like, is this absurd or not? And she looked back at me at multiple points in this movie like, what? I don't understand. Like, she's being crazy. And he's like, I hate when you talk like this. When you win or lose, you actually tie and all that nonsense. And the thing about the water, it was nonsense. And I looked at Kelly.
Life is hard, but finding a really great podcast makes the days go by so much easier. Hi, my name is Blue Toulousma. I'm a writer, an emotional intelligence coach, and the host of Humanize with Blue Toulousma, a podcast where we believe that when you humanize everyone in the room, a great conversation is almost guaranteed. Join us every week here on Electricast as me and my guest co-hosts unpack big topics and interview even bigger personalities with a sense of humor and a dash of mischief. If you're looking for a new best friend in your head, we've got you covered. Electricast.
And she's like, when I ask you to get me water, it's because I want water. And it's not. So she delegitimized herself in some ways prior to that decision. But that said, when she's being serious, yes, because she set up to Sydney's wife that he's just bad with money. You know, he's get real, sister. It's your boyfriend. He's the problem. Nah, he's just bad with money. And he is. And all the great things that she says about him, that, you know, Billy, I love you, but goodbye, is all because as much as she does love him, it's true. He's really dumb and terrible with money. Regardless of how good a ball player he is. The fact that they won was lucky, was circumstantial, and not at all enough to put her and her feelings and her concerns above his pride and his guarantees.
Definitely in denial. He says, it happened again. It happened again.
Ugh.
And she said, it didn't happen. You happened.
You stupid son of a bitch.
You are the problem. And thank God she finally either grows some or enforces some boundaries.
It's tough. It's hard. I mean, you know, the only reason that I believe it's true is because the credits rolled and there was never a sequel.
But I'm sorry, it is true that men tend to solve problems, want to solve problems more than listen to problems. And I'm not like, I just want to talk and you like, can you just listen to me type? But also, sometimes I'm not looking for you to solve my problems.
Yeah, 100%. And by you don't mean me, you mean Brian?
I'm talking to the men in general, but yes, to Brian.
As far as women's reactions go, Kelly Ray went into this movie cold. She was very concerned. I'm starting up the movie, and she's like, there is no way this movie aged well. And I was like, this movie is the bomb. And so she started to watch it. I'm telling you, she smiled almost nonstop for at least the first half of the movie. She laughed, and when she laughed about halfway through the movie, I was like, see, right? You're smiling. You like it. And she outright denied it. She's like, it's a grimace, baby. And she refused to acknowledge that she enjoyed watching this movie and probably responding to the romantic comedy elements. I'm not sure if it was the dude bros broing down. But then when Billy really proved how dumb he is and he decided to bet his tournament money in a single bet with Sydney that he could dunk a basketball, she had a physical reaction. She threw her head back in disgust and was like, I mean, it might as well have said what she occasionally says, which is that boys are so dumb.
Wasn't that kind of the point?
Yeah, but she was definitely invested. I'm saying that I agree. Billy is dumb. He's an idiot. Do you know that Ron Shelton, on the 30th anniversary of this movie, which is only a year or two ago, went on the radio and Rich Eisen, I think, asked him what happened to Billy Hoyle. Sorry. And he said he's got an orange vest on and he's on like a job site somewhere. And that's really the best that we can hope for him. So Billy was, I mean, he might have been charismatic and he might have exceeded, you know, people's initial impressions of him in terms of a ball player. Not a bright dude. And Sydney said the whole time that he was lucky to have someone like Gloria. Listen to the woman. And it was never going to work out. It's sad or whatever, but it doesn't feel like it could have been fated any other way.
No offense to men in orange vests. We really do respect our DOT workers.
But it wasn't glorious and he wasn't happy. He actually said those words. I don't think he's happy. Billy can't really ever achieve the happiness that he, I'm sure that the light in him, the talking and all that stuff, I'm sure that light dimmed over time in the real life, character in the mind of Ron Shelton.
That's what I'm saying. So here's what I think are their problems. Both the Billy and the Sydney characters want it all. They want the girl and the house and the glory and to be cool, but also to be good. Why can't they just be degenerate gamblers, in a death spiral and accept their fate in life?
Because they have the women and are responsible for them. She makes no secret, Mrs. Dean makes no secret of, you promised to get me out of this hellhole. You promised, money, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I got the roofing thing and I got the other thing and I got the basketballs putting food on the table. And she's like, more money. 30 would be better than 20 for shopping, Mr. Dean, and all this stuff, right? Because he wouldn't let her get a job. So I understand
which is a whole other thing. Why won't he let Mrs. Dean work?
I don't know. Just because the kid needs to be. Look, this is 90s masculinity playing out as responsibility and playing the role of provider. It's a compliment to him that he works so hard that she doesn't have to work. And thus, I guess, could raise the kid. I'm positive, at least, that's the way that Sydney sees it, because she's perfectly capable of getting a job. He doesn't want her to have to. In the same way that Billy doesn't want Gloria to have to work, wants her to pursue her dream, even if he ultimately says, they're never going to call. You have to understand, they will call. And he manifests that in a way, even though they're fighting, he gets her back, but he has no guarantee that getting her on the lot will bring her back to him. As a matter of fact, we're here to tell you that getting on the lot doesn't mean a damn thing for getting on a game show or into entertainment at all.
Very true. That was a big leap. He was like, all right, I'll get her on the lot. And then in the next scene, she's on Jeopardy. I was like,
in the Hoochie Mama dress.
Was she in the Hoochie Mama dress? I thought that the Hoochie Mama dress was red.
No, I thought she was in the Hoochie Mama dress, at least at first. I could be wrong. Maybe that's my fantasy and really wanting it to work out. To answer your question, they had their limited abilities to do what they felt was their strength, to execute and to provide. So I really wanted Mrs. Dean to have everything that she wanted to get her stuff back after she was robbed. I really wanted Gloria to feel like she was supported as a partner, and ultimately just couldn't hack it because Billy was too dumb for his or her own good. But I wanted it to work, and I wanted them not to be douchebags who were like, shut up. And you're like, oh man, she's in an abusive relationship on top of it. They had the best intentions, but they're both idiots and have to have the Donnie Brasco dude bro persona because that's their world. And if you don't have that, then you get eaten alive out there. We are discussing White Men Can't Jump for Wesley Month, right?
Wesley Month.
Far and away.
We're going to Sizzler. Yeah. We're going to Sizzler. It's Wesley Month.
I don't mean to brag, but I'm the greatest. Far and away, my favorite Wesley Snipes movie, White Men Can't Jump.
Better than Blade?
Oh, yes. Huge, massive, $90 million for a no-budget movie back in the day. Huge boost for both Wesley Snipes, who was the other dude in like New Jack City or whatever, or Mo Better Blues or whatever, and Woody Harrelson, who was the dude from Cheers. This was like their start. And of course, Wesley Snipes goes on to be one of the biggest action stars of the 90s. Woody Harrelson is kicking around doing his prestige thing, according to you. Had a Globe and Oscar nomination at one point, so I guess that's all good.
Is it true that Wesley Snipes went down for tax evasion?
Yeah, man. He did like 3 years post-Blade, but that's neither here nor there. Wesley Snipes is kind of a comedian in a way. I was shocked by how funny he was in Coming to America. And I realized that a lot of that esteem for him, being able to pull off this charisma stuff is rooted in White Men Can't Jump.
Oh, he's so great. He's natural, effortless, so funny. Convincing at basketball, even if you say he's not that good.
He didn't start that good. He worked his way up to it because he's dedicated.
And also has this kind of street-spun wisdom and groundedness in this character, even though he's kooky and kind of dumb.
So, leads me to a big question for you about this movie. I owe you and I owe Sydney. Does Billy owe Sydney? Is there a way, because he said, I didn't have to convince you for very long, talk you out of it or whatever. Is there a world where Billy wasn't obligated to do this thing to save Sydney's marriage, presumably? Does Billy owe Sydney?
If I'm not mistaken, Sydney owes Homie for getting Gloria on the lot.
I mean, he made the connection, but it's their court, their rules. You got to make a hook shot.
So I don't think there was ever an explicit conversation of you owe me from Sydney to Billy. But let's just say that he does. Even if he does, Sydney is more correct. And what overrides anything is that Billy Ho is a grown-ass man and needs to make his own decisions.
Interesting. I mean, it could have been another hustle, I suppose.
I mean, is it a hustle if you come right out and say, I need money and it's going to save my marriage?
Yeah, but he said, I just got $2,000, man. But it was $2,500 buy-in. That means he only needed $1,250 if Sydney was going to put up his half.
Yeah, or maybe he just covers the delta or whatever with $500 that he gets from who knows where. But he does need Billy in that moment.
Yeah.
But Billy has a choice. You always have a choice.
I mean, does he though? Because he made the choice and he would have completely ruined his partnership and friendship with Sydney no matter what. It's not like you blew me off for the big one when I was in real need and they took his $5,000. Oh my goodness. And then to be like, nah, I'm good and I don't care if you're not good. And to walk away, that would have fractured their friendship and it would have prohibited any further team ups or hustles or partnerships. Right?
Yeah, but your partner is your primary person, is your partner.
And so he made the call against her and suffered the consequences. So he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't in that scenario, which is not an enviable position.
I think he would have been less damned if he had gone with his partner because at least then too, Sydney would have understood. She's standing right there when he's like, come on, man. And then Sydney's like, come on, Gloria. And if she was like, I'm going to leave you. And he was like, yeah, no, man. Sorry, Sydney. Sydney would have been like, you punk, and been pissed. But who wouldn't understand?
That's what people have to understand. There is a code out there, a bro code. It's etched in stone and it's been around for decades. And that is bros before hoes. And I am here to tell you that is absolute nonsense. He is in so much worse trouble than if he had gone with Gloria, said, I'm sorry, I can't. It's her money. She won't let me. I'm not in a position to leverage or force that on her. He would have been absolutely justified and would have been far better off.
Listen to the woman. It's not that hard.
I don't disagree. I'm 100% on board with the sentiment, which is why ultimately Billy did deserve to be left. It was an important, serious step that made this not the romantic comedy that it could have been, but kind of remembered as a, strange to say it, but a real, almost feeling movie. If this is a romantic comedy, it's one of the better ones for sure.
I think like all good movies, it's a little bit of everything.
It's a coin flip counterpart to Jerry Maguire that would come 3 years later. If he chased Gloria down and said, look, I got a job and I bought this suit with my job money and I got my own place and I burned my basketball at the beach bonfire, then she probably would have taken him back.
All right. IMDb featured reviews, 7 stars, funny, wacky, and friendly.
That's nice. I remember this movie fondly. There was some aging to it. I mean, there has to be over 30 years, particularly when it comes to things like popular culture or street talk, I guess. But all of those apply, but in a good kind of way.
8 stars, Woody and Wesley, when they was cool.
When what was cool? When they were cool?
They was cool.
Oh, they was and is cool, I guess. Yeah, they were cool. They went on, they had their partnership. They carried it over to Money Train. I think they've been in a total of 4 movies together. One before this where they were football teammates, and then another one after White Men Can't Jump and Money Train where they played themselves. Or Wesley Snipes played himself in a Woody Harrelson movie.
Okay, 7 stars, more than just basketball.
Absolutely. And if this were just a basketball movie and it didn't have the heart and all the fun, then it wouldn't have been remembered.
And your final rating is?
I really enjoy. It was strange. I got up here and there, and ordinarily, like if Kelly Ray if her butt leaves the couch, I'm pausing immediately. But I got up and went to the kitchen, went to the bathroom, I think 3 times a total. And I was quoting the dialogue as I went that I didn't know was in my brain. You know, you're shooting for the Sudan and a hook shot. And I was like, and a hook shot. And I don't know. This movie is in there. It's deep. It's in the grain. And I was kind of surprised by that. I like this movie a lot. It's definitely an all right movie. I'm a little bit worried because this does have race elements and it has stereotypes and domestic whatever.
Verbal abuse?
Yeah, so you got to be careful. And I think that Kelly Ray was really bracing for this movie to be 90s offensive. And I guess to MRFers, it really is. But other than that, it has a sweetness to it and a melancholy to it in the end, but it's still primarily fun.
And surprisingly, with all those caveats you just mentioned, kind of holds up.
Yeah.
I'll give White Men Can't Jump a good. And that's our discussion on White Men Can't Jump from 1992, currently available on Max. Continuing our Wesley month here at orwhatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts. That's right, Wes Studi, Wesley Snipes, and Wesley, the co-host of Or Whatever Movies, 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com. 5-star this MRFer. Subscribe to this MRFing podcast.
Wow.
And become a MRFing patron on Patreon. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time because we going to Sizzler. We going to Sizzler.
Welcome to Ringside with Ray and Prince. My name is Ray Leonard Jr.
Oh, is that the shit? No, that's just my dad.
My name is Prince Daniels Jr.
Daniels again with a big home touchdown.
On this show, we come to humanize
athletes, entertainers, business executives. We're going to see what makes them tick.
Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there. Peace and power.
Electricast.
Have you ever wondered what actually happens in Congress every day? Stay informed on Capitol Hill's daily happenings with a concise, factual summary of the Senate and House of Representatives' activities from the previous session, free from bias, on the Congressional Record Daily Digest podcast. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and discover the process from the heart of U.S. politics. The Congressional Record Daily Digest, an Electricast production.
Electricast. Electricast.